have some very humbling, very sobering news on the goats, unfortunately. Out of the 2 that we had bred back in May or whatever, only 1 actually ended up taking, from what we can see. We had them preg tested. We still haven't got the results back from the vet, but 1 was very obviously pregnant. The other one we didn't think was pregnant. And the one that was very obviously pregnant just delivered about 10 days early. And she delivered 2 stillbirths, unfortunately. They weren't stills. As close as a few days ago, we checked and you could feel them kicking and moving around. So we don't know what inspired this, why she went early. There was a big thunderstorm last night. Maybe that just spooked her, got her nervous, got her stressed out. We really don't know. She wasn't really showing the signs of labor as of last night. So we really don't know, but it sucks. It really sucks. You know, I personally grew up on a farm. I saw this all the time, so I'm used to it. It just happens. My wife, unfortunately, not so much. So she's pretty tore up about it, rightfully so, you know, reasonably so. But hopefully she'll find peace somehow, because we can't go on. She can't keep kicking herself and thinking it's her fault. We had no reason to believe this would happen. Like I said, it's early, quite early. She hadn't shown any signs. So I came out to do the chores this morning, milked, and went to feed, and the twins, which is the 2 that were supposed to be pregnant, Bluebell, the one that we knew was pregnant, didn't come out of the barn. So went in there and checked her and found her in labor, 1 stillbirth already on the floor. And so could see that there was another one starting to come out in the sack. We called our mentor, and she said basically, you got to get that sucker out of there. So went, you know, as I jokingly say, went fishing, which can't even fit your whole hand in there, but I was able to get at least enough that I was able to get my fingers behind its ears and help pull. But it was really large. It was, I guess you'd say, partially breached. I think they're supposed to come out hoof first, and it was coming out nose first. Its hooves were kind of bent back, but I got its hooves straightened out, got it pulled out, but by that point it was already too late. As soon as I could see its nose, I was trying to wipe out the snot and mucus and trying to clear it. It wasn't happening. It was already dead. So rather unfortunate. We don't know if she has any more. She's not really acting like she's still laboring, although I don't really know. She stood up. We're getting her some energy. We're trying to get her Gatorade, and the wife got her some, I think it was going to get her some molasses water. We're getting her, you know, free choice alfalfa. We're getting everything we can to get her some food, get her some energy, and get her some help. But yeah, this is a new game for us. I never raised goats growing up. So I guess maybe the delivery process is a little different. You know, I had hogs and cattle and all that sort of stuff, and that's a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it's all the same. These babies are huge, and I'm going to show you guys the babies. So if this is something that disturbs you, cut the video off now. But I want to show them to you, just kind of talk it over and see what we got. Maybe it'll make sense to somebody else out there that's raising Nigerians. Maybe you'll see something or have some advice. But anyway, I'm going to switch over to the dead baby goats. So if this bothers you, now's your chance to turn it off. All right, well, here's our little lost souls. I just carried them out here to the compost box towel, but this is the one that was stillbirth when we came in this morning. Little white girl. I don't see a whole lot of other character. This one's not too big. This one's a little bit smaller, and it's a little doeling. This is the one we pulled. I mean, look at the size difference on these two. So it's no wonder this one that we helped pull, he's not even lined up. This is a buckling. I mean, look at the size difference. This guy's huge. Yeah, little buckling. It's really, like I said, it's really humbling. I hate to just bring him out here and throw him in the pile and bury him up, but there's just nothing else to do. I saw his little ear move. I think it's just me, just wishful thinking. I don't know, when I was pulling, we were told, don't hook the pigs. I would hook under their jaw. I was told don't do that, so I was trying to pull behind his ears like this, and I don't know, I feel like I broke his neck. I really don't know that, but I was pulling very hard. I had to brace against the doe, try to push her away from me while I pulled him too. Got a little spot on his forehead just like his mama did. Other than that, just a little dark colored buckling. God, I hate this. This one's not attractive. I hate to say that, but that one looks like a little alien. This little guy. Maybe I'm more attached to him because I helped pull him, I don't know. Oh well, now you know. I keep telling myself he's gonna wake up. I just don't think so. He's still born. Just born. But anyway, such is farm life. It happens sometimes. So I'm gonna bury him up here in the compost pile of sawdust. That'll take care of him pretty quickly. Well, such is life. Total of 5, all stills. So, quintuplets, that doesn't surprise me that she went a little early. I had no expectation of that, although we never had a ultrasound or an x-ray done to see how many were actually in there. We were just figuring twins, maybe triplets, because that's what this doe has a history of doing. So yeah, we pulled, the one was found still, we pulled the second one. And then she just still seemed really, really big. We were feeling around from the outside, and I was like, well, I can't convince myself if that's a baby or not. And finally, we ended up having to go fishing, for lack of a better term. Which I feel sorry for this poor goat. I don't have big hands, but I don't have small hands. But yeah, it was like, holy smokes, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. So we ended up pulling the last 3, obviously. Managed to get them turned around and pulled them breached, but I think they just, I don't know if they died during labor. None of them were even trying to live when they came out. We were right on top of it as I yanked them out, my wife was wiping them up, and we were trying to feel for heartbeat and get them to respond in any way, and there's just nothing. So, yeah, such is life. I'll take these out to the grave site with the others, and we'll try to at least make sure that Mama's okay. But yeah, this sucks. It really sucks. Well, I'll just give you guys my thoughts and kind of summary here. For those of you that watch the graphic portion, of course you already know, but we ended up with quintuplets, actually, which was a bit of a surprise. I believe the breeder that we got this goat from, I think she said she had a history of like twins and triplets. So to have quintuplets was not expected. But it makes sense why she went into labor early and struggled a little bit. But unfortunately, they were all stills. Every single one of them. I ended up actually going in and pulling the last 3. Turned them all around and pulled them breached. I couldn't get any of them to line up with their head and the front feet coming out at the same time. There just wasn't enough space for my hand and that. So I turned them around and pulled them out back-legged, which was fine. But I think, not a one of them was even twitching, even trying to show signs of life when we pulled them out. So I think they were all deceased already. I don't think it's anything that we did wrong. It's really easy to take something like this personal and feel like it's your fault, feel like you somehow failed. But from all of our planning sakes, from all of our preparedness that we had, she's early, and we just weren't expecting this. And even if we'd have been sitting out here with her all night and she'd gone into labor and we didn't known it, part of me thinks they'd have still been stills, and that really sucked. Not a week ago, I put my hands on her belly and I felt them kicking. So I don't know what happened, what caused the early labor, what caused them to go stills. If I had to guess, I think the stress of the early labor is what in turn made them go still, if that makes sense. I don't know. This is the first goat I've ever birthed. So yeah, definitely a learning experience. It's been years and years since I pulled an animal. I used to work at a hog farm and pulled piglets all the time. It's no different. Pigs are a little bit bigger, so there's a little more space to work, but yeah, idea is the same. It's an animal, and you got to try to help it have the babies, trying to help it get them out of there. At this point, once the first two were born still, and the mama was showing a lot of signs of stress, it was kind of emergency mode. Just get them out of there, alive or dead. Just get them out of there. So we did, and thankfully, we didn't have to take her to a vet for an emergency C-section just to deliver still babies. So I went back in after I pulled the fifth one, felt all around, didn't find anything that felt like anything. So I think she's done. Mama's acting like she's done. She's calmed down a lot. She's laying over here, which I know you got a glare coming in that window, but maybe I can block the glare some or come down. So there's Mama, Miss Bluebell. The dark water there is dry molasses dissolved in water just to give her some sweet, some carbohydrates, some energy. But she's laying here resting. She's eating on some alfalfa that we gave her. We've been giving her pellets. We've been giving her everything she could possibly want to try to get her some energy and get her back up. And I actually covered her up with the hay. I mean, she's got fur. She's probably fine. But I covered her up with the loose hay just to kind of give her a blanket. So we'll keep her in the barn by herself. We'll keep the other goats out, so they're not in here bothering her and trying to eat the hay off of her. And we'll just watch. But she's got her head up. She's obviously quite depressed, quite upset, understandably so. Just tell them by the way her ears are down. She's tired and she's depressed. But yeah, rough day, rough morning, rough go. Silver lining is, I guess, we got it out of the way. I told my wife, leading up to this, she was obviously stressing about all the things that could go wrong, the things that could happen. And I said, hon, it is a fact. Eventually you will have stillbirths. You will have dead babies. It's going to happen. So maybe this just kind of, get it over with. I'm sure it'll happen again, but at least now my wife has pretty much seen the worst of it. So, well, I guess the worst of it could be that she lost the mama too. I think this one's going to do just fine. She's not bleeding out the back end or anything, so I think she's going to do just fine. So yeah, life lessons, stressful, sad day, but we'll move on. That's farm life. Well, we have suffered the tragic loss. I told you guys about losing the babies. Well, we're 24 hours later and we've lost the mama. We're still trying to figure out why. We think we know why. Hopefully we can prevent that next time. But devastated regardless. She was our first goat that we really cared for, that we really loved. And so this hits really hard, really close to home. So anyway, I'm going to try to do something special. The babies, and actually I think I might go get the babies actually. The babies I had put in the compost just because that's kind of the smart thing to do. But then the thought of digging up the bones later does not appease me when I go to use it in the garden. So I'm going to try something. I hope this works. I've got this maple tree that I've dug up, and I've got a heck of a root ball on it. And we're going to put Bluebell and her babies right in the bottom of this hole, and then we're going to put that tree right back on top of them. And so if nothing else, hopefully the tree survives. Now if the tree dies, I hope that's not some sort of omen about our bad luck, but my hope is that this will be something special. We'll forever have Bluebell in this tree. So Call me a sap if you want, but hopefully this is at least a little bit I can do to kind of pay a tribute to her for being a good goat. I'm going to spare you guys the details of having to see me do the actual burial, but I just want to tell you what I'm going to do, and I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, well that's that. Hopefully that all works. Looks good anyway. Tree's right back where I put it. I mean, aside from a little bit of scuffed up dirt, you'd never even know it happened. So, like I said, it's the least I can do. I went and got the babies out of the compost, and I put them back in with Mama. And I guess if you believe in any sort of afterlife, which I'm not saying that I necessarily do, but I took all the food and everything that we'd given her and put it all in there too. So, wish them well. Tried to set them up best I could. Hopefully we have a tree to live on forever as a memorial.